Okay, here we are. Guys, a few months ago, on one of the channels that I had done a conversion on one of these radios, I really don't remember which one it was. And what I was doing was what they call a Mars conversion. And just recently, a couple weeks ago or so, oh, by the way, today is November 18th, 2018. It's 11 o'clock a.m. here in Connecticut. And a little chilly out, but not too bad. But meanwhile, I get a comment. And here's where I'm going with some of this. I get a comment from somebody that it's hard to say if he was thinking he was a know-it-all and knew nothing, or just didn't know and how to come across on what he was talking about, or what his comment was actually sounding like, or a troll. Because it almost sounded like a troll, but it sounded more like a know-it-all that didn't know how to say whatever it was he was trying to say, if that makes any sense to you. So I basically told him in a nice way to grow up and welcome, and I appreciate the channel, the comment. And what it was about this thing called Mars conversion. Well, his comment was, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have it, I was looking for it. I don't even remember what radio it was on and when, but it was something to the reference of, why are you doing a conversion? You should stay out of your radio. It shouldn't be doing more than it is doing. And Mars, ha 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 ha, what's that? Something like that, like, what am I talking about? So again, it was one of those things to where, was it a troll? Was it a young amateur? Meaning, not young in age, but young as far as being involved. Didn't know how to get his point across. Some people don't mean to be a troll or mean. They just don't know how to come across. My ex-wife was like that at first. Every time she says something, it sounds like she was attacking somebody. But at that point, so you don't know where it's coming from. So again, like I said, I replied to it, something like, well, grow up, investigate what you're talking about before you open your trap, and something in that word. To where if it was a troll, I kind of had some fun getting back to him, and if it wasn't, he shouldn't have taken offense by it. But meanwhile, troll, Mars, okay. Well, meanwhile, Mars, there is such a thing. So if he's just a troll, well then he's just out there to have fun and attack as many people as he can. More power to him if that's the way he likes it. Hopefully he can take it like he gives it out, because I will have fun with him and just give it back to him anyway. And then I start talking about his parents and things, so I don't hold anything back. And at that point, I'll continue to have fun with him, and near the end, when I'm getting tired of it, I'll welcome him to the channel, and leave it at that. So, and that's kind of how it is. I don't let them bother me. I actually have fun with them. That's what they're looking to do. Okay, I'll do it. But if it was a ham operator, and again, there's a lot of amateur radios operators out there now that are not actually learning what they're studying, if you know what I mean. For instance, they would have a test, 1 through 50. They learn the test, but they have no idea how to apply it. And if it's not on the test, they don't go any further because they've passed the test. So why should I further educate myself? Because I know everything now. This is kind of how it works sometimes, without going further, trying to improve yourself, trying to find out more about what's going on so you don't make an idiot of yourself. And if somebody was to mention something, and again, when I say idiot of yourself, I don't mean it in that way, for instance, but sometimes we have a tendency talking and not knowing what we're talking about, and therefore we sound like an idiot. So if I see or hear something on there that I want to reply to, well, I try to research it a little bit if I know nothing about it before I decide to reply. And if I can't research enough of it to where I feel comfortable, I'm not going to reply. That's all there is to it. You know, I don't want to, I don't care if I make myself look stupid or not, to be honest with you, because I don't care. But at that point, you know, it just kind of gets old. You know, you're getting your ham ticket. You have no idea what it is, but because you've accomplished memorizing the answers to the test, basically, and you get your ticket, now you are a century-old veteran of ham radio, and it doesn't work that way. So this kid, anyway, or person, decided to start breaking my cajones over this Mars thing. Like, what am I talking about? You know, what Mars? You know, blah, 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 blah. Stay out of the radio. You know, do yourself a favor. You know, that type of stuff. Well, you know, there is a Mars. It's a government run, all right? Military, auxiliary radio system. And in this case, this is the Air Force. There was the Air Force and there was an Army. I heard they're maybe doing away with the Army, or they may be incorporating it into one. I don't know, because I haven't been a member of Mars in 35 years or so. Again, you know, I don't pay attention to time and dates, so don't hold me to that. But I know it was back in the early 80s, 82, 83, somewhere around that area. And I was only on it for a very short time, less than a year, because my work and such took me away from amateur radio, and it is an amateur radio thing. And at that point, I just never got back involved. So now that I'm starting to get involved again, you know, I am going to try to get back involved if in fact you're looking for new operators. But what they do is they have a net and it goes on constantly. There's actually another one up here, the Maritime, I believe it is, and it's on 20 meters and it's somewhere around 14,300. I don't know for sure because I just started writing things on the board, but yeah, so they still have these little meets, and then, you know, there's certain times, you know. So for instance, if I wanted to get involved with the Maritime, I was actually talking with somebody there, and I had told them that, listen, I've got a couple hours a day during the week that I can do something, and if I can help, you know, I'm here. And they said, well, the weekdays are pretty well used up, and that's what happens. You know, the old timers, the ones that have been there, kind of earned their way up in ranks to get the weekdays. You know, almost like a job. You know, your 9 to 5 are your perfect hours for most people, and that's what everybody achieves to accomplish. That's what we're used to working. So at that point, you know, if I wanted something like at midnight or 2 a.m. or something like that, or weekends, there was plenty of openings. However, you know, I don't want to be up at 2 o'clock a.m. unless it's an emergency, and I have to be. You know, if something happens and I get a tone where I have to get on the radio, that's fine. And same with the weekends. But for the most part, I want to spend, you know, my time with my wife whenever I can. And when she's working during the week, that's when I'm going to do it. So with the Mars, they said if an opening pops up somewhere within, you know, my time range, they'd get a hold of me. And not Mars, but Maritime. And at that point, so much for that. Now Mars, because it's it's military, it's going constantly the way I understand it nowadays. I don't know exactly what they're doing as far as it anymore. Rules, there were certain times that you had to monitor. And what you do is you pass traffic. Traffic meaning if somebody in one part of the country has to get the information over to the other part of the country, they will pass it on through the country to wherever it has to go, and then it gets passed back. And a lot of it is just exercise to make sure that everything gets done right. You know, in case of an emergency, it happens. For instance, when they had the flooding and stuff like that in the Carolinas and in Texas, you know, up here in the Connecticut area and further up, you know, we were on the radio, so if there was somebody down here wanting to know what their family members were doing and how they were, you know, we were up here. Now, I can't contact your family member down there unless he contacts another ham radio operator. You follow? But if that's the case, then, you know, family A will contact an operator down there that's going to try to get up to here, even if he leapfrogs up to here, and then somebody up here who may hear it, say, oh, I know that family, they were here. Now, there's a lot of ifs, but the thing is, if you know to do this, it will help you. And then at that point, you know, we'll say me, hypothetically, will make contact with this person down here and get a hold of, because you gave me all the information on this person as far as phone numbers and addresses and such. I call them and I say, listen, Aunt Tilly is fine, she's doing okay, they did evacuate, but everybody's healthy and everybody's okay, blah, 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 blah. And I tell you that's the story that I've received from here. And in return, if you have a short answer, I'm not going to be your personal switchboard operator, because I got other people that may want to get through, and I do have a life of my own. But if you have a short message, I will relay it back, and hopefully he hears it and he can relay it on to Aunt Tilly. And we could do check-ins occasionally, every couple, 2, 3, 4 hours. We can do a check-in to see if there's something okay. But we're not there for you to call and say, well, you know, 10 minutes later, do you know how they're doing, and do they need anything? Well, what are you going to do if they need something? You know what I mean? You know, so think about this before you utilize it, because there's other people that need to use it as well. And if you get to be a pain in the ass, I am going to hang up on you, and you're not going to use me as a relay, because that's all there is to it. So, but meanwhile, that's how it works, but it works with government information, military information. And that's kind of how the MARS system works. And this, in this case, is the Air Force MARS. So this person that was going through that, and I just thought about it today because I was pulling out some paperwork and I found this here, and I'm saying, oh yeah, that's right, you know, because I wanted to call them as well to find out a little bit more about what's going on. And I said, oh yeah, that reminds me of that wackadoo that I never heard any more from. And I really shouldn't call him a wackadoo, but at that point, you know, somebody that was inserting foot looking stupid at that point. And again, you know, when it comes to this stuff, you can call me stupid on a lot of it. Technology is changing, this digital stuff, it's all new to me. And I haven't got the makeup anymore to like just suck it in like I used to. So it comes a little bit harder. You know, now it's beginning to get to a point to where it's more show me and hands-on than it is reading and trying to figure out what the hell they're talking about. Because if they're talking about digital and we're in digital, and if I don't know anything about digital, I'm not going to know the terms that they're talking about in digital, if you understand what I mean. So, but meanwhile, I mean, I'm getting into it again. It's not a big deal. It comes a little bit easier to me, but you kind of know what I'm saying here. Alright guys, that's about it. I just wanted to get that said. So if anybody is out there that's a ham radio operator and new and not sure about what this is all about, go to the website and you can learn more. Yeah, I'm sure they're always looking. If not, at least it's something you can learn. Plus you get a certification. You get a piece of ID, a paper, not so much a carry ID, but you get a number and such. It used to be you got a certificate, because then you could take your radio and the company or the person that's selling you the radio, in this case like HRO, they charge you like $35 or something, but they'll do the modification for you so you don't have to go in and do it yourself. So, you know, but they're not going to do it for you unless you are some way, shape, or form connected and you can prove to them such, and that's the way that works. Alright guys, and I will catch you later.